Hey there, it's Jenny McGarvey, and I am here today to share with you how I created this traveler's notebook process. Let's start that over. Traveler's notebook scrapbook layout using the Cocoa Daisy Willows scrapbook kit. I'm going to be using this simple notebook as the backdrop. However, I use this notebook a little bit differently. I like to take it apart. So what that means is I remove the staples and then look at each page, you'll see in a second, as the base of my layouts. So I get questions about this all of the time as to why I do it like this. I cannot complete an entire one of these notebooks each month. I would love to. That would be incredible. However, I don't have the photo stories, all of that to do that. So by choosing a handful of these each month, I get to use the notebooks and not have a bunch of these left over, like empty pages in each book. So hopefully going forward, in a future video, I can show you what I do with them. I glue the pages together. It's not exactly pretty or like perfect, but it definitely works. And then I get to have completed notebooks full of pages. And that really works wonderfully for me. So I like to go through the pages and decide which one I'm going to use for the particular notebook. I have to take into consideration what the patterns are, if there's blank pages, that kind of thing. So I'm going to trim my photos. I'm using two by three photos. And to conserve photo paper, I often print other photos in the other spaces on the collage like I did here. I have two photos of my baby cousin, and so I am adhering the photos to white cardstock, and then I will use those on the page. I just like the little border of white cardstock and how that adds a little bit of pop to the overall, makes the photo stand out a little bit. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to have some of this striped pattern paper in the corners. So I will just cut some of this off. One of them, I'm going to have it be as you're seeing it. And then the other one, I'm going to be tearing it, but you'll see that in just a second. So now that one little corner, it's not perfect. Obviously, I needed a larger piece of paper for as big as I wanted this, but I'm going to mostly cover it up. You really can't tell. And so I decided not to worry about it. It could have been a thing, like I could have been like not happy with that, but instead I just decided to leave it as it is. So I wanted to have that polka dot paper behind the striped paper, and I also wanted it to be torn. So I simply added the stripes on top and then I tore the bottom, and I really like the texture that that gives, even though it doesn't change anything really. For example, it just gives a little bit of, again, texture, really, thanks to the torn edge. So now I'm adhering these photos down. I'm using adhesive for the first one, and the second one I'm using foam adhesive just to give it a little bit of dimension, get it up off the page, make it a little bit fun, especially because the overall layout is very simple. It's not complicated. There's not a ton of techniques. There's not hand stitching or anything like that. And so this way I can still add a lot of fun. I mean, dimension, as much fun as dimension is, but not have it be anything but simple and linear. Now, there are so many embellishments included in this kit. I feel like so lucky because I can choose stamps, I can choose die cuts, glitter dots, wood veneer. I mean, there's just so many choices. So what I'm doing is just kind of looking at all of them. I decided I wanted to use some of these skinny tags. I really like them a lot. I like that they're mostly white with the pop of pastel that matches the artwork, and they're just very easy to use. Plus, the stamp set that's included in the kit as well works perfectly with these little tags. So I'm simply stamping the word on the tag, and then I will adhere it to the page. Now these tags are self-adhesive, so all you have to do is peel the back off. I mistakenly did that off camera. I'm sort of out of practice from making YouTube videos since I haven't made a ton of these in recent years. But yeah, So I then also added a piece of chipboard. Again, I just really like having the variety in the dimension, some flat pieces, some layered pieces, that type of thing. I think it makes it all feel a little bit more interesting. Now I'm trying to figure out what I want to put down here underneath the left-hand photo. I know I want some sort of embellishment to anchor this corner. I'm just not really exactly sure what. So I am going through everything. Ultimately, I decide there's this little yellow tag on the chipboard sheet, and it has like the most subtle pattern on it. I want to take one of these rub-on transfers and then rub it on to the small little tag. It's so cute. And then adhere that right there. Since this piece of chipboard only has the very most subtlest of patterns, it really works out well. All right, so now what? Where will we go from here? Now I know that I want to add some embellishing over on the right-hand side, and I want to use these big alphabets, letters. I was completely blanking, which seems silly. They are also self-adhesive. I love the font. It's like the most basic sans serif there ever was, but I love that because it absolutely allows me to work with these, but it does not take away from anything. Like it's so basic, you hardly even notice it, in fact. And I like it because you can layer with these. So you'll see what I mean in just a minute because it's just so simple, you're not taking anything away. So I'm spelling out sweet girl on top of the pattern paper on the right hand side. And actually the paper is like a page from the actual book, Wind in the Willows. So it's just very cool. And I just like that even the color of the page looks like an old book. So I'm going to spell out sweet girl on this side like this. And I just love that all of this is really subtle. Like the color of the green is very subtle with that beige. And it all just feels very, I don't want to say tone on tone because that would be like, having all the same colors, but because they feel almost neutral, because obviously you can't say that this green is neutral, but it feels almost neutral. And so it works together really, really well. Once these are completely adhered down, then I'm going to pull out the puffy alphabet stickers that were included in this kit. These can be difficult for me to use. I don't know why. There's something about them that is, I don't want to say daunting, but I just really struggle with finding good ways to use these. So when I find something, I'm really excited about it. So I spelled out my cousin's name on top of the sweet girl with these. And again, this really is tone on tone because they are the same color essentially. And I love it. I love how that turned out. And because the font is so basic, it works and it's not taking anything away from it. Okay, so now down in the lower right hand corner, I do want to create an embellishment cluster. So I'm first thinking that this tag, which is very cute and has the Lanús pots art on it, will be a great base for that. And it can hold, some chipboard or, some other stuff as well. So I'm going to put that down first and then trim a little bit of the back or the piece off because it is hanging over the edge a little bit. I just want it to sit flush with that bottom edge. Now I can't decide exactly which chipboard to use right away, so it takes me a second, but then I decide on that cute little frog. And I love it because then the frog element ties in on both sides of this layout as well. Okay, so now we've got that little cluster going on down there. Where will we go next? So I want to use another one of those small thin tags, and this time I want to use the stamp set to help with a little bit of journaling. So not journaling in the sense of like writing, pouring my heart out, that type of thing, but maybe just adding a little bit of information. So I'm going to use the little tag and then the stamp from the stamp set and stamp it on the little thin tag. Now, once I've written the information on there, I will adhere it to the page. But the first thing I'm going to do is use this roller stamp that was included in a kit a year or two ago to add the date. And then I will add the location right below it, just using one of my favorite Sharpie pens. And then I will adhere it to the page. All right, so once this is down over here, then I'm just going to add a few glitter dots just for a little bit of extra something, I don't know, dimension, glitteriness, beauty, and then a tiny bit of journaling on clear sticker paper, and then that's it for me. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thanks so much, and make it a great day.